All right, today we're going to start talking about probability. So at the top here, we have a little definition for us. It says the probability of an event describes the likelihood that an event will occur. Probability near zero indicates an unlikely event. A probability around 1/2 indicates event is likely to happen as it is unlikely to happen, and a probability near 1 indicates a likely event. So we can see the scale here about our probability. So if it's at 0, that's going to be impossible. So if there's something that has a chance of 0%, that means that event is not going to happen. If it's a probability of 100%, that means for sure it will happen. It is certain to happen. And then we can see kind of the scale here. So question number 1, it says, on which day is it most likely to rain? So if we look at all of our percents in our table right here, we have Monday, it says 50%, Tuesday, 60%, Wednesday, 5%, Thursday, 15%, and Friday, 100%. So these are all the chances or likelihood it's going to rain each day. So the day that it's most likely to rain is going to have the highest percent here. So that would be Friday. Friday has a 100% chance of rain. So that's the day it's most likely to rain. If you look at question number 2, it says, on which day is it most unlikely to rain? So now we want to look at the smallest percent chance here. So we can see that Wednesday has only a 5% chance of rain. So that's going to be in our unlikely section here of our table. Wednesday has the lowest likelihood, or it is most unlikely to rain. Okay, moving on to question number 3. It says, suppose there is a 0% chance that it will rain on Saturday. Is it possible that it will rain on Saturday? So if we go back and look at our scale up here, we're talking about that we have a 0% chance of rain. So that's all the way down at the bottom of our scale here. So if we look, it says that if it's at 0%, that is going to be impossible. So to answer the question, is it possible that it will rain on Saturday? The answer is no. No, it is impossible. Okay, all right, last question of the section. It says to arrange the following probabilities from impossible to certain. So we have 99%, we have 0.34, 11%, and then 9/10. So in order to compare these and make sure that we're on the right track here, I would suggest we either turn these all into fractions, decimals, or percents, so that way they're all the same. Let's start by turning them all into percent. So 99%, that one is good to go. We don't need to change that. 0.34. So in order to turn that into a percent, we can just multiply it by 100. That would get us to 34%. 11% we don't need to change. And then 9/10. So that to turn that into a decimal, we can do 9 divided by 10 in your calculator. And then we're going to multiply that number times 100. When you do that, you should get to 90%. So go ahead and pause the video for a moment and order those from impossible to certain, or in other words, from least to greatest, and then come back and check your answer. All right, so again, if you haven't already tried number 4, pause the video, try it. You're ordering this from least to greatest or from impossible to certain. So the first one you should have had was at 11%. That's going to be the smallest chance. Then it would be that 34% or the 0.34. Moving up from that, comparing 90% to 99, 90% is smaller, so that would be next, followed by that 99% last. So that's going to be in the order of impossible to certain for our probabilities. All right, now let's take a look at some examples. So in our first scenario here, we are rolling a 6-sided number cubed, numbered 1 through 6. It says describe each event as impossible, unlikely, equally likely, likely, or certain, and explain. So looking at number 1, we're rolling a 2. So if we look at all of our options here, a 2 is only one of our options out of 6 total. So I'm going to write this as a fraction, 1/6. And then let's turn that into a decimal to figure out where would that fall on our scale here. Now, if you don't need to do that and you can just do the fraction, then by all means go ahead and do that. But I'm going to turn it into a decimal. So remember, to do that, we're going to take 1 divided by 6 in your calculator, 1 divided by 6, which should give you 0.16 repeating, which is 6 repeating. And then we're going to multiply that times 100 to get our percent. Now you're going to have 16.6 repeating. We're going to round that up just to 17%. Okay, so if we go back and look at that scale that we had previously, 17% falls in the unlikely category. So I'm going to go ahead and write that, unlikely. Okay, and the reason why, because remember we do need to explain, the reason why it's unlikely is that it's in between that 0 and 50%. Anything in that range is going to be considered unlikely. Looking at question number 2, it says this time we are rolling an even number. So if we look here, let me erase our previous one. If we look at our even numbers, so that would be a 2, a 4, and a 6. So the 2, 4, and a 6. So that is 3 numbers out of 6 total numbers. If you turn that into a percent, you are going to get 50%. So a probability of 50% means that it is equally likely. So equally likely here. And now what that means is that you have the same probability of rolling an even number as you do an odd number because there's the same amount of them. We have 3 even numbers, 3 odd numbers, so one does not have a greater probability than the other. Look at number 3. Okay, it says we are rolling a 7. So if we look at all of our dice up here, if we look closely, there's no 7 on here. So that would be a 0 out of our 6 possible choices. So that would be 0%. Well, if it's 0%, that means it's not going to ever happen. This would be impossible. Okay. And again, if you're describing it, if you're explaining, you would just explain that anything that has a probability of 0 means that it's possible. It's not going to be possible for us to land on a 7 because none of our sides of our dice have a 7 on them. Last one, number 4 here for this dice rolling question. It says we are rolling a 3 or a 5. So rolling a 3 or a 5. Okay, so we see that that is 2 out of 6 total options. If I turn that into a percent, 6 divided by 2 gives me 0.3 repeating. Multiply that times 100, and we would get 33.3 repeating percent. So we're going to round that to just 33%. And again, 33% falls in between that impossible and the equally likely. So this would be considered unlikely. Now I know that it is a little bit more likely than number 1 when we said we were rolling a 2, but it would still be considered unlikely here since it is below that 50% mark. All right, moving on to scenario number 2. It says a random number generator gives a number from 1 to 20. Describe each event as impossible, unlikely, equally likely, likely, or certain, and explain. So I want you guys to pause the video here, and I want you to try this on your own. So you're going to follow the same process that we did up the top there when we were rolling that 6-sided dice. But here you have your number generator that gives you a number between 1 and 20. So you can get 1, you can get 20, you can get any number in between there. So go ahead, pause the video and try those, and then come back and let's check your answers. All right, hopefully you've had a chance to try it 5 through 8. Again, if you haven't already done so, pause the video, try those, and then come back and check your work. But let's see what you got for number 5. So it says the number given is the number 4. So 4 is one option out of the 20 total numbers that we can get. So if I turn that into a decimal, we're taking 1 divided by 20, that would give me 0.05. Multiply that times 100 to get our percent, and I would have 5%. So 5% is a very, very small number. It's very close to that 0% of impossible, but not totally impossible here, although it is unlikely, since that's such a small percentage. Number 6, it says the number given is greater than 0. So if we have, if our number generator can generate a number between 1 and 20, all of those numbers are going to be greater than 0. So that would be all 20 out of the 20 total options. This would be 100%. So this is certain to happen. That means for sure, no matter what number I get, it is going to be a number greater than 0. Okay, looking at number 7. So the number given is an odd number. So remember, odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. So this is going to make up half of the numbers out of the 20 that we could generate. So 10 out of the 20. This would be 50%. So anytime it's 50%, this would be equally likely. Okay, and remember that means that you are as likely to land on an odd number as you are to land on an even number because we have the same amount for each. Last one, number 8, the number given is the number 30. Well, if we look back up at the top, it says we are generating a number between 1 and 20. So 20 is the highest we can go. 30 wouldn't be possible here, so it's a 0 chance out of 20 or 0%. So like we said, that is impossible. Not going to happen. All right, now that you've seen some examples, it's time to try it on your own. So go ahead and end this video, go try your homework, and let's see what you got.